It's Kevin Keatsman Uncanceled on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio, 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Keatsman on a Wednesday. We got some tasty topics for you today on Uncanceled, leading you up to the Vince Show coming up at 11 o'clock, including my thoughts on something Pete's been talking about for a couple of days, and we'll save this for the next half hour, about the Greater Kansas City YMCA and their comments about the alleged incident that took place with a mother and her 7-year-old daughter in the Northland while they were changing out of their wet swim clothes, and a man apparently exposed himself. And they went running out, and the situations with locker rooms and bathrooms at said facility. We have lost our minds, folks. This is, it needs a complete reversal. We'll go into the details of what the YMCA should do and how they can fix this very quickly. We'll do that next half hour. Also, Tyreek Hill in trouble, the former chief, again with domestic problems. We'll address that. And we'll get into a problem that the Royals have with the closer. They've won 2 in a row. We're not complaining. But at the end, we'll talk with Mark a little baseball. And a budding superstar in the minor leagues for the Royals gets a couple hits off a Hall of Famer in the minor leagues. How did that happen? Well, you got to stick with us to learn all that stuff. Right ahead on Uncanceled, but we will start today with the term activist judges. You've heard this term, activist judges. And we can say we know what they are. They're judges that have the bench, and they want to impose their political beliefs or societal beliefs on society by finding some sort of little thing in the law somewhere that allows them to rule a certain way. We know what that is. We've seen Judge Boasberg shut down Trump's deportation. Trump has deported over 100,000 people already that had some sort of criminal record, or at least that's according to reports. He says he has thousands more waiting that the courts are holding up, and it's very dangerous this is occurring. So what is an activist judge? I think most of us in this audience think that conservative judges don't do enough of this, that the Supreme Court conservative judges rule what we would consider the other way more frequently than the liberal judges do. There's probably some data that supports that. I'm not going to bring you a bunch of data today and statistics on that. What I'm going to do is demonstrate exactly what an activist judge is and why we should believe this is a massive problem. The judiciary should not be more powerful than any other branch of government. And it's very clear right now that judges have control of our government, not the people we elect. When judges override, because of their beliefs, the will of the people through a vote, who clearly want Donald Trump to deport this MS-13 guy and all these illegal aliens that have committed crimes, it's overwhelming in the polls, and it was overwhelming that Trump won the election. His single most famous point is closing the border and getting rid of criminal aliens. That's his number one issue. Americans want this. Judges are stopping it. That's an activist judge. But to give you an idea of how far this goes, there's a little reported story taking place in New Mexico, and it's a whopper. And I'll tell you right now, I don't think it's isolated. I think it may be unique, but it certainly is not isolated. I believe liberal judges all over the country are doing things that they know are against the law and don't care because they think it's the right thing to do for what they want to have happen in America politically. These judges should run for office. They should not sit on a bench. In Las Cruces, New Mexico, a judge named Joel Cano retired, said, I hope you all get a chance to retire when you want to or whatever. Well, he resigned and retired because a gang member from Venezuela, an illegal alien, was grabbed by ICE and federal authorities inside Judge Cano's home where the gang member lived. This is an unbelievable story. This gang member, again, I'm not doing names of these people because I don't care, came to America in 2023. One day he showed up at the Cano's door to see the wife about installing a door for them. They had some door, they needed an installer, and he did it. And while he was there, he was complaining that he was being evicted from his apartment. Now, he had not been at that apartment very long because this was April of 24. This is a year ago. He's getting kicked out. So the wife, and the judge agrees it's fine, offered the casita behind their home for this illegal alien gang member to stay in. it would not have been difficult to know that this was a gang member. Trust me, because suddenly more young men started showing up, and they got to know the daughter, April, very well, who is in this investigation now. She had a residence that was housing illegal aliens, members of gangs. They've all been hauled in by ICE. They were not targeted because they stayed at a judge's house. It was completely random. ICE figured out where these people were. They were wanted for crimes committed and for being in a gang, probably Tren de Aragua, from Venezuela, and they were picked up at the judge's house. He was then suspended. He retired, using the air quotes, of course. He retired and says, I'm going on my way, whatever. And I'll ask the question, what crimes did he commit? What was in it for him? How much money did he receive? Did these people buy the groceries? Did they do work around the house? Were they servants? What were they doing? Was he in it? Because here's the deal. If this judge was in it to be a do-gooder, let's give him the best possible scenario. If he was doing it to be a do-gooder for illegal aliens, that's a conflict of interest with the job that he has. He's in Las Cruces, New Mexico. There's illegals everywhere. It's a very common thing that people talk about. I'm sure he ruled on it. I'm sure he had many criminal aliens in his court. And if he's housing them and has a soft spot for these people, how is he possibly on the bench? Well, they immediately suspended him from that. They have now passed in the state Supreme Court of New Mexico. The ruling from the state Supreme Court is this man can never work in New Mexico again. He cannot even officiate a wedding and have it be a legal wedding. Now, best case scenario is he's just a do-gooder, which is a complete conflict of interest. Worst case scenario is he had a criminal racket going the last year. He's got illegal alien gang members who are, what do gang members do? Well, they make a lot of cash and they send it home. Maybe they were making a lot of cash and some of it was getting skimmed off the top for Judge Cano or his daughter or his wife or whomever. Folks, these people, these judges, these liberal judges, I'm sure this guy justified to anyone who asked him, I'm just doing the right thing. I'm a humanitarian. I've got a soft heart. I want to help these illegal aliens. They're here. I've got extra room. I've got a casita out back. Why can't this guy stand there or stay there? This isn't some 23-year-old woman with a baby who had some deadbeat gang member that knocked her up and she's illegal too and she's stuck with the baby. That's not who he took in. I'm sorry. You can't be a judge in New Mexico and not know you're housing illegal aliens. You shouldn't be a judge in New Mexico if you're housing illegal aliens that are members of Tren de Aragua from Venezuela. This man needs to be investigated pronto. This needs to be a national story in the spotlight, and it is not. The Trump administration needs to be all over this. Kash Patel should get involved. We got to find out what this guy's about. We need to scare the living daylights out of the liberal activist judges that you will be prosecuted too. Don't do it. Now, this guy's a judge. We know what he wants. He wants open borders. He wants America changed. He probably wants the Constitution torn up. He worked his way up. He went to law school. He made it to the court. He became a judge. All those things are fair. But that's what an activist judge is. That is a different level activist judge, and I don't think it's isolated. I think it's unique that he had a casita and had an illegal gang member staying at his place, and he's lost his entire career now. I think that's unique, but I don't think this is some one-off, that this is the only liberal activist judge that's doing something wrong. In addition to some of the rulings that they have and what they've done to Trump and the people of this country who've duly elected this president to get rid of these criminals, I think at the very least, most of these judges like Boasberg, if you recorded everything he said all day to his friends at the club or whatever, you'd find that it's nefarious. It's borderline criminal. And he knows. He probably jokes with his buddies while sipping a scotch and smoking a cigar that he's found some little-known statute somewhere that he thinks he can do this to Trump and stop it even though it's not his jurisdiction, and it's one big game for him. It seems to me, with all the crime that takes place in our country, there's nothing more criminal than keeping criminals in our country that live elsewhere. It should be a crime when these judges do these things. We just got to find out what they're doing. I don't think New Mexico dude's the only one. I think they're everywhere. I'll bet there's housing of illegals, there's hiring of illegals, there's helping illegals that are criminal and known criminal. This guy was a judge. Instead of letting this casita go to use for this man to live there and bring his gang member friends there, which leads me to believe, by the way, there had to be money trading hands. There had to be. You don't let this guy show up because he put a door in for you and he lives there quietly alone. And, well, we think maybe he's a gang member. It has sure been peaceful here. Nope. Now all of a sudden his daughter's involved somehow and more gang members are showing up and they're all there and the daughter has a separate residence and what's going on there. It doesn't build into something like that over a year without knowing what's going on. And literally his job as a judge is to be enforcing the law, and he's willfully breaking it and knowingly breaking it. This judge should be prosecuted, and every activist judge in America should see exactly what happens to him. Trump administration needs to get on this. This can be federal. It doesn't have to be state of New Mexico. But the Attorney General in New Mexico should be looking into it as well. I believe that judge had to be committing crimes willfully and knowingly, and his family too. But I think you take it a lot easier on the wife and the daughter than you do the judge. I think it's a real thing. 913-408-7957, our number to call, 913-408-7957. What do we do with these judges? Got any ideas? I'll take your ideas, suggestions. What can we do to stop liberal activist judges for doing the job that previously the media always did? The media always went after Trump and stopped him. Or Congress would have an impeachment where they'd make up a fake story, a hoax. Well, those aren't effective anymore. This is the last card they've got to play, is all these activist judges, and they're doing it. 913-408-7957. You're listening to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. We're live on Facebook and X at KCMO Talk Radio. If you'd like to watch the show, we stream it live every day, and then I think it's posted up afterwards. You can always watch it 24/7 after the fact. If you want to see what Podboy does in here with his gyrations and movements, which I didn't really know that I did, and now I'm very aware of, thanks to the nice folks at KCMO Talk Radio for putting this camera right in front of me every day. And Mark, who lets me know I get a little wild from time to time. Always a good thing. Great to have you with us. 913-408-7957, the number to call if you'd like to join us. Leland is up first today on Uncanceled. Good morning, Leland.
Hello. I'm glad to got you on. I was kind of concerned when they first put you on. I thought you'd be too much sports, but you do a good job on, and you lay it out the way it is. On this judge you're talking about, man, he ought to be prosecuted because he knew that the guy was an illegal alien and he was a gang member.
So as far as I'm concerned, the judge committed a crime.
Yeah, he's an accessory to the crime, and his family is too.
Well, he was harboring a terrorist.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's treason, isn't it?
I would think. I think there's a million things that he did wrong here, and there's no way they didn't know. He's a judge, for crying out loud. This isn't some, out in the remote area farmer who doesn't know better, just, hey, let's let this nice guy stay here, whatever. This was a judge. He knows what's going on with the illegal immigration. He knows.
And he knows the law.
And he knows the law inside and out. To me, that makes it even worse.
He has no excuse.
I agree with you.
Shouldn't be prosecuted.
I agree with you.
But anyway, I'm glad you're on because you do a good job. You need to be on for 2 hours instead of 1.
Thank you, Leland. I appreciate the kind words, sir.
All
Thank
right.
you. And as he said at the beginning, I'd be concerned about me too. He said, I was really concerned when they hired you. So was my wife. So was everybody around here. It's okay. It's going to be okay.
I was never concerned.
You were never concerned.
I was maybe the only one, but I was never concerned.
A little bit.
No.
You didn't think I was going to come in here and upset the apple cart? The previous hosts weren't on site, right?
Yeah, that's why I was actually the most excited because I was going to be able to see the host right here.
Okay. I thought maybe it was like out of sight, out of mind. Pete finishes at 10. You guys still have work to do, and you enjoy having your space and all that good stuff. Podboy could do this from home. They asked me, you want to do it from home? I'm like, no, I don't want to do it from home.
Yeah, it's way more fun in here.
Why would I want to do it from home when I come in and hang with you guys? That's what it's all about. I think that's what a show should be about. It takes a lot of people to put one of these things on and a lot of effort. So appreciate the kind words, Leland. That's very, very kind of you. And trust me, you weren't the only one concerned when Kev got back on radio. Not the only one. And right now we're doing an hour, and everybody seems to be good with that. So let's just stick with that. Appreciate your words there. So the Chiefs, once upon a time, had a star player here named Tyreek Hill. This is not a sports story. This falls into the same category as the Judge, which really wasn't some sort of giant thing about judges or the legal system. It's about what they do with their power or their authority. Tyreek Hill has been a star since he got to Oklahoma State many years ago, where he was a convicted felon for beating up and punching repeatedly in the stomach his pregnant girlfriend, threatening to kill the baby with his fist. He was put on probation. The Chiefs believed in second chances. They drafted him. At that time, I might have been the only person in the city that said, okay, the judge in Oklahoma says of Tyreek Hill, there is a 99% chance nothing will ever happen again. We've seen cases like this before. He's on probation. He's been convicted. We have therapy. We've gone through the process, and we say it's okay for him to be a citizen on probation. And my theory has always been, if the courts rule that, then the Chiefs have every right to draft this man and employ him. Judge in Oklahoma has decided he's not a threat to our society. He came here, and it was rocky at best. There was one Tyreek Hill story after another, but nothing like beating up his pregnant girlfriend. We heard crazy audio clips of him fighting with these women that he's been with. We heard stories of his son with a broken arm that he had nothing to do with. But things kept happening that looked bad and sounded bad. And the Chiefs had enough because it had to be going on at work as well. So they make this trade, and then they win a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. So it really didn't matter that he was gone. It has not gotten any better for him in Miami. He was stopped by the police on the way to a game last year, and as I remember right, thrown on the ground and cuffed. He got into a fight with a deckhand at a marina where he rented a boat and was going to be charged with a crime, but suddenly wasn't, which means he paid his way out. His house caught on fire, and he stood in the driveway and watched it burn. Like, it never leaves this man, ever. The latest is terrible. There's a video everywhere of Tyreek Hill, presumably in the last day or two, on the 35th floor of his high-rise condo at the beach, where he comes out of the condo. His wife is there. She is outside on the deck, on the balcony, if you will. Her name is Keita Vaccaro, and he comes running out with the baby in his arms. And he's faking throwing the baby over the edge of the balcony 35 floors down. And the baby and the arms are hanging out over the balcony. It's a little bit like that famous Michael Jackson thing way back in the day, right? He fakes it and quickly goes back inside. She's filed court orders against him that she finds him threatening. She's threatening to harm the baby, to control her. He disappeared for 2 days. When he came back, he took the baby. She says Tyreek Hill has never spent one day alone with his baby. Like, he's the dad that couldn't change a diaper or babysit or sit alone with his kid for a day because he doesn't know what to do. She's saying he's a deadbeat dad, he's abusive, and he's threatening, and she's scared. Somebody needs to separate Tyreek Hill from his family. I'll just say it. I don't know what's going on, what's true, who's accusing this or accusing that. We don't like to prejudge these things, but when you have the record that Tyreek Hill has, we have to be serious about this. This man looks like he's a danger to his wife and a danger to his child. And it's no longer funny. Tyreek Hill is not interesting. He is not likable. I don't care that he's good at football. He is on the borderline of the worst among us. And before something terrible happens, for God's sake, separate him from his family. Great to have you with us. The Vince Show coming up at 11 o'clock. He's been crushing it. He was at the White House yesterday. Just one great guest after another. Really good stuff. So we hope you're enjoying the Vince Show here on KCMO Talk Radio. He starts at 11. I mentioned at the start of the show that I want to make some comments about a story that Pete's been talking about for a couple of days that hasn't gotten a lot of play in Kansas City other than an initial story on Fox 4, some local publications, and KCMO Talk Radio with Pete and the things that he has said about the incident that allegedly took place at the YMCA of Greater Kansas City in the Northland. You've probably heard this story by now. A woman claims she went in there swimming with her 7-year-old daughter. When they were done, they wanted to get their wet suits off and put dry clothes on, and they went into the locker room to change where a naked man was there. And she was mortified by what she saw, and she said something to him like, "What are you doing?" And the man responded, honey, I'm a woman, according to this lady. She grabbed her daughter, and they ran out of there. These are shared locker rooms. I don't understand the concept. Now, they know who the man is. This can't take long. The man had to be a member to be in there or a staffer to be in there. Everybody checks in. This is easy. Was he a perv? Was he flashing himself? Was it some sort of creepy thing he was doing with a kid? I don't know that. And I don't know if it's a person that identifies as a woman that was just in there and thinks it's harmless to walk around with his junk hanging out in front of 7-year-old girls. We don't know. We don't have the answer to that. But this one's going to be easy for them to figure out because they had to know who it is. This isn't complicated. The woman and her daughter remain anonymous for their privacy. Others have commented they saw it too. It seems unseemly, if you will. What I don't understand about this is apparently the YMCA says there are 2 shared locker rooms. That means you're essentially, this one's mostly women, but if you identify as a woman, I guess you can be in there. And this one's mostly men, but if you identify as a man, you can be in there. They have 4 private stalls for changing. This is where we've gone wrong, folks. This is like the airport, okay? The airport has on all gender bathrooms, whatever, okay? But there's men's rooms and there's women's rooms. So there's options available. What I don't get is why would the big shared locker rooms be within regulations of the YMCA for a man to be walking around naked around everyone else in there being a woman? How's that possible when there's 4 private stalls and the YMCA puts a statement out? And what they said is if you read your handbook, you know that our locker rooms are shared and you know that we have 4 private changing rooms, which I'm guessing are always full. Always. Because this woman said, yeah, sometimes we go in and try to do this real fast and get out. We like our privacy, whatever. Excuse me. Why can't the 2 big locker rooms be 1 for men only, 1 for women only, and the 4 private stalls be for anything else? If you're a man that wants privacy, 99% of the people. If you're a woman that wants privacy, 99% of the people. We have these big, beautiful locker rooms for you. If you're something else, and I don't even want to get into that category. There's so many else's. If you're something else, we have these 4 private rooms over there. You go there. Why is it in reverse? Why would you have 4 private stalls for the majority of people that want privacy and 2 big open locker rooms that are open to any? I mean, come on, let's be honest. The real danger here is creepers. The real danger here isn't a trans person. I don't think, although that's creepy enough, being in the women's locker room. If you're a dude with junk and you're putting your dress on, that's weird enough for any 7-year-old girl. It just is. But the real danger is I'm joining the Y. I can hang out in here. I can see little girls. That's just wrong. We have really, really strong laws against this. And we allow it. It's okay. We're just going to say we don't know if you're a creeper or not. We don't know if you're a pedophile. We don't know this, but hang out in here. It seems okay. Why do we get it backwards? Why can't we get back to a place? And I feel like we're moving that way. I think we're making a lot of gains, but this is Kansas City, for crying out loud. This is the YMCA in Clay County. This is not Key West. All right? This is families going to the Y. They're swimming. They're having a nice day. They're getting some exercise. They're doing what we hope families do. They're not sitting at home on their devices all day. They're getting out. They're swimming. They're exercising. They're doing what's right. Do stuff for the masses. Remember who the masses are. It is not discrimination to understand that the majority should be treated in a way differently than the minority in a case like this, when it has to do with genitalia being exposed. The private rooms are for the others because there's not so many of them. Just put the signs over those 4 stalls. All welcome. And then the 2 big ones, men, women. And we know what they are. You know how we know what they are? The liberals and the socialists in Europe are telling us. In the United Kingdom, the Supreme Court passed a law that a woman is an adult biological female. And Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of UK, has come out and said, this is a great thing. I support this. It's awesome. These are the liberals of Europe saying we need this. It's gotten too weird. Everything's gotten too weird. A woman is a woman. A man is a man. If you call yourself something else, we need to figure out what we're going to do with you. There would be a special bathroom for you. We've got them at KCI. Great. I'm okay with that. I really don't care if you call yourself, if you're some dude listening right now and you're conservative or whatever, don't like me or whatever, it doesn't matter. You want to call yourself a chick, go for it. I really don't care. But don't go flashing your junk around 7-year-old girls at the YMCA. That has to be a crime in our society. That must be a crime. Even if we've passed regulations and laws that say this is open to anyone. You don't make jokes. Honey, I'm a woman. You don't do that. And you don't do it around 7-year-old girls. And for crying out loud, if you are at a place in your life where you're transitioning, and this is such an important and viable decision in your life, can you not respect the choices of others? And when you make those choices, are you just trying to impose your will on other people and show them that, by God, I'm going to do this because I can? Is that what you're doing? Are you trying to convince somebody that this is okay? And if so, the pain that you say that you feel from others who look at you funny or don't understand you or don't get me or bully me online, if that's you, can you not understand that you have affected that 7-year-old girl's life? That something really unique happened to her as a 7-year-old that she'll never forget? If, honest to God, if that is your biggest single issue, is proving that this is all okay, how can you not respect a young girl that doesn't want to be part of that? A child, no less. I don't know what that dude was doing in there. I'm not sure we're ever going to know. And I'm not sure that that person broke a law. If that's what these locker rooms are built for and anybody can walk around, there's only one simple solution here, folks. Cancel. And it doesn't matter if you live in Clay County. If you belong to the YMCA, call them right now and cancel. I don't care where you live. Call and cancel and say it's because of what happened in North Kansas City. You can always rejoin. Cancel for a couple weeks. See what happens. If thousands and thousands of people started calling YMCAs everywhere, canceling, they changed their policy. This ultimately sounds like it's on them, that they know the law, they know they can do this, so they do this. Mayor Lucas knew what he could do with the airport, so he did it. That's what they do. We've got laws and rights on the books. We're going to force this on you. You're going to see it. And every kid walking around is going to understand that some people are different, and this is what they do. Whether you want your 7-year-old to know these things or not, doesn't seem to matter to them. Canceling will. Not going to the YMCA will. That'll get their attention. That's the only way to do it. I'm not a big boycott guy. Like, I've never understood, I'm not going to a Royals game anymore because they stink and ownership's not committed or something like that. I got a million of those calls through the years. I was like, do you like baseball? Oh, I love baseball. Do you like being outside in the fresh air in the summer? Oh, yeah. Do you like a hot dog and a cold beer? One of my favorite things, in the fresh cut grass. Why would you boycott something you love? Not going to a game isn't going to solve that. The owner's not going to sell his team. You can get their attention. We did a walkout one time. We all bought tickets. We went. We had 5,000 people walk out of a game. That got their attention. But you robbing yourself of something you enjoy is not great. Now, for a month or two, maybe find a different way to exercise. The pools are going to be opening soon. Maybe you have a neighborhood pool. Maybe your city has a pool you can go to. Maybe there's other places you can go play basketball or run or whatever it may be. But you can affect change at this place. It seems to me that's what people should do. They should cancel their memberships for now. Say, I'm not going to the YMCA. I'm not going to be part of this. This is wrong. Those 4 stalls over there are for people that are confused and don't know what gender they are. Because I'll tell you what gender you are. I'll tell you right off your birth certificate. I've never met a doctor yet that gave birth to a baby and didn't know what sex it was. They even have this right in England, for God's sake. And they put it, the Supreme Court ruled on it, that a woman is a grown adult biological female and will recognize 2 sexes. If you want to call yourself something else, go ahead. But we're going to recognize 2. We got to get there. We got to stop this craziness. And it's uncomfortable for people, and a lot of people don't care. They're like, this is never going to affect me. It's probably true. That's probably true. Probably won't ever affect you. But I'll bet it affects that 7-year-old girl. I know it's affected her mother because her mother right now is feeling like she did something wrong. And guess what? That mom didn't do anything wrong. She took her daughter to go swimming and exercise and to play and to be a kid, not have some dude flashing junk in front of her in a locker room because somehow he can. That's really wrong. There's some crazy stuff happening in a whole lot of places. 913-408-7957, the number to call if you'd like to join us. Mark will join us next. We got a lot to talk about there. Elon Musk pretty much stepping down from Doge, it sounds like. And the Royals may have a budding superstar in the minor league who got 2 hits off a Hall of Famer last night in minor league baseball. How is that even possible? We'll explain it next on Uncanceled. Everything's on video these days. I think we all know that. There was a video that came out in the last couple of weeks of a veterinarian in Lake Mead, Nevada, who had a horse in a pen that he was treating and kicked him in the head. And it didn't go well for this veterinarian as it went viral and there was a lot of bullying. He apologized and tried to explain. The horse was down kind of on his hind legs, was trying to get the horse up and clear a breathing passageway. I'm not sure I bought it, but I'm not a veterinarian. I kicked him there to help him breathe more so I could administer the anesthesia or whatever it was they were going to do, the tranquilizer. It was ugly looking. It looked like the guy was upset with the horse and just kicked him in the head. Again, the horse was on the ground. It's not some horse running wild that he slapped or he kicked the horse in the head. This thing goes completely viral, and it's terrible what happened to this guy's, existence. He's been found dead 2 weeks later. Authorities are not saying if it was suicide, but the veterinarian is dead. The guy who shot the video commented to a newspaper in Las Vegas that he feels terrible and wishes he could go back and never shoot the video again. He said, I don't care what happened. I wish I'd never shot that and posted it. I shouldn't have done it. So this is what happens with some of these things. This veterinarian's dead. It may have been suicide. First thing you think of is somebody go crazy and find him and kill him because he's abusing animals. I don't know. Could have been suicide. Either way, now, the second victim is going to be the guy who shot this. He'll never live that down. He's going to feel terrible that a person died or is dead because he shot a video of something that happened, or worse, didn't just shoot it, that he posted it. Instead of taking it to the man and say, dude, this is wrong. This is just wrong. You can't do this. You do this all the time, or ask around or whatever, but he posted it, and now he's got to live with that. That's a terrible, terrible event. We're really sorry on all fronts that happened. Elon Musk says he's backing off of Doge to run Tesla again. Their profits are down 71%. So that was the first action to him being involved in Doge. The reaction has been wild numbers of deliveries by conservatives that are buying up these cars. So we don't know where this will all end. It's like the stock market, Tesla sales right now are a roller coaster, but Elon Musk is concerned enough that by next month he'll be out of Doge. He says it's set up to run. It's going to operate. It's going to be fine. I got to go deal with Tesla. And he will do that his role will significantly change. He'll still be in touch with Doge, but he's going to be out. I hope he's not too regretful because I think he changed a lot. We'll see how much money's actually cut, how much abuse and fraud is found. What he did was he kind of rebooted America. He got us all thinking about the waste in our government. He showed us things we would have never seen if it weren't Elon Musk. And as far as I'm concerned, he is a hero. Let's bring in Mark Van Parley on Uncanceled. We talked yesterday about Shaquille O'Neal's incident on set where he had to go to the bathroom. Did you see what happened last night?
Oh, no. Again?
I'm not sure I can say this with a straight face. It's like a 4-person set. Uh-huh. So from left to right, Shaq's on the far left, Barkley's on the far right. There's a couple guys in the middle, right? Mm-hmm. They put a giant porta potty right next to Shaq's spot on the set.
That's awesome.
And they did it, apparently, they wheeled it out during a commercial break. It wasn't there at the start, and then they brought it out. And Charles Barkley looked up and goes, oh, my God, and he starts losing it. I guess he didn't see him bring it out during the break.
It was a surprise for everybody up there. Interesting.
Probably not a great thing on your resume. My coworkers love me so much, they surprised me one time with a porta potty. Don't want to be that guy. Not a big fan of Charlie Sheen as the Royals closer. Are you?
No, I was a little hesitant when they brought him in. They're like, oh, our new closer. I'm like, Well, what happened to Lucas Urseg? He's still here, right? And he's been doing fine this year.
He was the only Royals reliever last night that did not walk a batter. You just can't walk batters. I heard manager Q say afterwards, look, your high leverage situation, you throw hard, you're going to walk batters. No. That is not the expectation of your closer. The Royals were up 2-0 last night in the ninth inning. Carlos Estevez, a.k.a. Charlie Sheen, had 2 outs, nobody on, and 2 strikes on the hitter when he gave up 3 walks in a row. Then a double into the corner, and it's 3-2 Rockies. The Royals miraculously tied it in the bottom of the ninth and then won it in the 11th to win their second game in a row. But I was done with Estevez a couple weeks ago. He has 12 walks in 10 innings or 10 appearances and 2 hit batters. That's too much. That's not a closer. Am I preaching to the choir or what?
Yeah, you're accurate with that assessment. He needs to be gone. I mean, not gone. He needs to be on the team,
right?
But out of the closer role.
Exactly. Maybe the 7th inning guy. Daniel Lynch is wicked out of the bullpen.
I like that guy.
Yeah, and he was good last night and got the win. He's 3-0. Chris Bubich got the start. He's been the Royals' best starter, 1.45 earned run average.
He looked really good last
Unbelievable. One of the top starters in baseball this year, was cruising to an easy win when now he didn't get the win. 1-loss record with pitchers is very deceiving. But the big news of the night, and I was interested to hear this, I heard the Royals manager do an interview this morning, and he did not know this occurred last night. Now, he's managing the Royals, but he had not heard this. The next big star, the next big thing for the Royals is a slugger named Jack Caglione. And he's playing in Arkansas last night for the Northwest Naturals. And it just so happens that Vahe Gregorian, who works for the Star, went down there to do a feature on Caglione and was tweeting, hey, I'm here. We're going to be at the end. Looky here. Look who's warming up. Clayton Kershaw, the future Hall of Famer, is starting tonight, a left-hander, against the left-hander Caglione. And then Caglione went out and got 2 hits off Kershaw.
It's impressive.
Very impressive. Kershaw's on a rehab assignment before he goes back to the big league club. But everybody's buzzing about this, and they weren't buzzing, apparently, in the manager's office last night. He didn't even know what happened, which is okay. The manager's not in charge of the personnel. He's not. It's weird because, like, Andy Reid was at the game last night. He's very involved in the draft. He's got a say in there. When the Chiefs go to draft tomorrow night, Andy Reid's opinion matters. It matters a lot. Baseball managers, nothing.
And Q's in the clubhouse and in the dugout when that's going on, so he wouldn't be seeing it on social media.
Almost think somebody would have told him after the game, hey, this happened. If they ask you about this happened tonight.
That's true.
I was maybe surprised that the reporters at the game didn't ask about it after the game last night, which they didn't. So as of this morning, he didn't know. But that's a big deal. Clayton Kershaw is one of the all-time greats, and Jack Caglione getting a couple of hits off him is a really, really cool thing. I just think it's a weird – baseball and football couldn't be more different. You know, you draft somebody in baseball, you send them to the minor leagues, they stay down there for 5 years. Maybe they come up, maybe they don't, maybe it's over. The Chiefs are going to draft 8 guys tomorrow night or this weekend. Mm-hmm. They're all going to be suiting up next year.
Yeah.
And playing. Just a totally
Hopefully.
Yeah, right. And the coach knows all about them. And in baseball, I don't think Q knows really much about anybody they draft, nor does he care. Totally different sport. The Vince Show coming up next. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio.